Alright, so when you do log into vCenter, you will see all your machines. Like here's Cameron, double poopy head K. Roy named that one. I didn't name that one. That's right. Yeah, but you will find your machine, and inside there will be a couple forensics machines and possibly a Kali machine. If you're in pen testing, I didn't give you another Kali machine. It's the same. Oh, I did? Okay, well, we didn't mean to, but they're just linked clones anyway, so it's not a big deal. But if you are in the old security auditing, you already had it in there. And what did we call Cameron in here?
My name.
Wow, we actually gave you a real name.
You have a name?
All right. But, you know, if you're using vSphere and you log in and it looks like this, you're in the wrong place. Okay? You need to make sure, because you guys won't be able to hit the plus and expand it at all. So many times students are like, I can't get it to work. Yeah, just click on this and go down to VMs and templates. And just keep expanding until you see your name. I see more than you do, but you can expand all the way down to your name. If for some reason you don't see anything, then you let me know. I will help you. Okay? But today we're using the Windows 7 machine. You got an exact copy of this one. And we're going to be doing something called active memory capture. Okay? We can actually capture memory running on a machine, which is nice. In the past, I actually had you guys do the capture. The problem with that was you actually, overall the way it works is you would run FTK, you would create a connection to a machine, install an agent remotely, capture, then disconnect and be done with it. But if you didn't disconnect, nobody else could get in. So and really what happens is you capture the memory, then you're busy working at FTK, like, oh crap, 2 hours later you haven't disconnected yet. The entire time no one could get in. So I captured it, and you're just going to analyze it. I'll tell you how it works. It's not a big deal. I give you the exact instructions. It's just you're not going to be doing the capture. Okay. It was too many issues. Yeah, there were so many people. I couldn't get in. Well, because what happens? Most people wait until it's nearly due. Then it takes 20 minutes to capture the memory. So now we're kind of, I've been trying since 20 minutes ago and I can't get in. No, that's not good. So, but to use this, we need FTK. We're going to be using FTK5. We're doing it inside vSphere because it actually has to connect to a database. Now that being said, you could install FTK local at home, but you'd have to install your own database. It actually comes with one. It comes with I think it's Pervasor database. It comes with it. Then you just have to install the license, point to the same license manager you use for any case, and it should work. No guarantees, because I don't use it remotely. I just use it in vSphere. So I'm going to show you how to use it in vSphere, but if you want to try it at home, I can give you the image. It's not a problem, and use it. We are limited to 30 connections, and we got 40 students, or 30 licenses. So if you go to use it, and it says you're out of licenses, could be someone's using it at the time. Okay? All right, so we're going to bring up FTK. Now, when you bring up FTK, it's going to take a while. But if it takes an excessive amount of time and you don't get that pretty quickly, that means the licensing server's off. If it takes about 2 minutes, then it comes up and says no licensing server found, let me know. Because for some reason our licensing server's service for this decides to stop every now and then. I don't know, it gets tired or something. So we just got to go in and start it again. We called them. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But, all right, now I'm going to show you how to do this, and I'm going to explain some stuff about the assignment once I'm done. So what this is we're connected in to FTK, which is connected to a database. Okay. Now, in here, we're going to create a new case. But each of you, I want you to create your own username. And it's under Database Administer Users. Okay? I'm not going to do it for you. Just create your own. I'm going to show you how. It's pretty simple. Just go Database Administer Users. Okay? Then we're going to do Create User. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Create User. Give it a name. Call it like Cameron. whatever. Okay, and put in a password. It's whatever you want to put in there. I don't care. And then you'll be good. That's all you really need to do. I don't know if there's any password requirements. No, it doesn't look like there's any. And you can be an administrator on here. That's fine. I don't care. I said this is just for learning anyway. So what it is, the FTK database, you can actually just run this as a distributed application. You can have multiple people connected to it. You can actually share your case out, or multiple people could work on the same case. But you go in here, and I've already been logged in, so it didn't ask me, but it's going to pop up the initial time and ask for a username and password. The username is user, and the password is user. Okay, I brought it up earlier today, is why it didn't ask me. It cached my credentials. But the first time you're bringing up FTK, it's going to say username and password. It's user, user. Okay. W? No, U. Oh, lowercase. That's not written in the assignments anywhere. So this would be a great opportunity to see who actually listens to the recordings. But it's user, user. Yeah, but then you're going to create your account, and then you're going to log off and go back in as your own self. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to log in as user. But you see these other machines up here? Those are leftovers. We don't want that to happen. Okay. When you're done, you need to delete your case because I'll show why. So I'm going to go to Sean's machine up here. I'm going to delete it. Okay. I'm going to say yes, delete it. Yes, I want to get rid of it. What's happening is it's now deleting it from the database, but it's also trying to connect to Sean's virtual machine to delete it, which doesn't exist. So it's going to sit here a while and a while. Imagine me doing this. I have to do one at a time, by the way. And then it says, okay, fine, but now it says the case was deleted, but the case folder did not exist. So it's okay. I mean, I can just say okay and it's gone. But you can imagine how long that takes when you have to do it for many users. It takes quite a while. I can't do multiple at a time, and yeah, it just doesn't work. So when you're done, delete your case. I'll explain more about that when we get to it. But we have a user account. Do y'all know how to create a user account now? It's pretty easy. Database, administer users, right there. Okay. Now, under case, we're going to create a new case. Now, there's a very easy way to do it wrong. Would you like me to do it wrong?
Yes.
Or just right?
Yes. Right. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Can, wrong. Okay. Now, for the folder, I'm going to put it in a test folder. Okay, we'll call this one test 2. Okay. Now, if you watch last year's recording, this is the way I did it. And it's an error. So I'm going to say, okay, we're going to create this new baby here. Do you want to create this folder? Yes, I want to create this folder. No problem. Create the folder. Case can be created. It takes a few minutes to create the case. And then it's going to appear. Just give it time. And I don't think we've used FTK5 yet, have we? Okay. It's not very difficult, but it does come up. Now, if you look at the instructions, all the stuff I'm doing right now, I'll show you in the. I'll explain more when we're done here. But I tell you exactly what to do. I manage evidence, click cancel. Under evidence, click import. So I tell you exactly the buttons to click to get your evidence in. So you don't have to write all that stuff down. But so under here, under manage evidence, I'm going to click cancel. Okay. So what I have now is an empty case. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say manage. No, I'm going to say evidence, import memory dump. What we did was I ran this program and I captured the memory, made a memory dump. In other words, I saved it to a file. Okay. To do this, I'm going to put it in an agent. Give it a new one. I don't care what you call it. Call it Ken. Good enough. Whatever you want to call it. Then I need to point to the memory dump file. Now, the memory dump file is on the file server. It's written in the requirements. Okay, so I tell you exactly where to get it from. But it's also in D2O. There's the memory dump file. We do not have a swap file. Do y'all know what a swap file is? That's like a page file. Because we made this machine small. It only has 256 megs of memory. That way we could have a small memory file. But we didn't capture the page file. I wish we did, but we didn't. because that would have had everything. But we're just going to go with this one for now. Then I'm going to say OK. And what it's doing now is it's bringing that in from the file server into my machine. Okay, it's going to take a minute. So those who actually watched just the beginning of the recording, it's not going to work right. But it seems to be working fine, doesn't it? Yeah, so far. Let's continue. Okay, it's adding to my case. Done. Perfect. Okay. Then we're going to close this out. Now, it's all under volatile over here. Okay. When you click on volatile, it actually shows you the memory. See all the processes here? See them all? Don't see them, do you? Correct. It's wrong. So, I'm going to show you what I did wrong. It's actually in the recording from last year wrong. And we were trying to go, what the heck did I do wrong? And then I know what it is. So I'm going to show you. So you see how with nothing showing up. So if you do this and nothing shows up, you did it wrong. Understand? We should see stuff in here. We should see some sockets. We should see processes. We should see everything. There's nothing. So what I'm going to do is close this out. Go back in here. I'm going to delete it because it's wrong. And it should delete quicker because it doesn't have to find it. It's just going to go ahead and delete it. Maybe it'll still take a while. But either way, I don't want to have to delete all yours.
So if we do it wrong, there's no way to remove the evidence. We have to delete the whole thing.
There might be. I'm not positive. I never tried to do
It's
it.
easier to just ignore it.
Yeah, just do it. Then just create a new one. I'm going to say can correct. The difference is the directory. See how I said test2 before? It actually created a test2 folder on my desktop, but you need to give it the full path. So if I say C:test2, now it actually has a full path, and now it's going to work perfectly. So give it a path. I don't care what you call it, path. Call it whatever. Okay? So give it a path. C drive. I think that's a flaw in the thing. It should pop up and say, hey, this is not a valid directory. But it doesn't. So I'm going to say, okay. Do you want to create it? Yes. Now it's going to create it. Now it'll work perfectly. So if you do it without the full path, you're going to have an issue. Okay. Again, manage evidence. We're going to click cancel. Now we're going to go in here to tools. No. And no, it is tools. Oh, which one is evidence? Darn, I keep going to the wrong place. Evidence. Import memory dump. Call my agent, Ken. And we're going to go to my memory dump. Now, when the first bring this up, what's going to happen is you're going to be probably on your C drive or something. Okay, so you're going to go in here and you're going to click the... Oh, crap, it's not going to remember. Well, it's going to be on your C drive. Let me show you how to get to the file server. Okay? I give you this exactly in the instructions. I say file server 1 / student Dropbox. And I've already connected, is why mine popped right up. But file server 1 and student Dropbox, you see it's right there. Okay?
Or you can get on D2L.
Or you can download. It's not on D2L, it's on my Dropbox account, but you can download it from D2L. Either way, it's totally fine with me. Okay? So we're going to go in here, we're going to click on that, and then go into the swap file. So it's going to do the same thing. It looks like it works, which is weird. You just can't access it because it can't find the memory, which is weird. Okay, let this finish. Won't take long. So remember, make sure you put a full path in there. Yeah, because last semester I tried it online and the recording didn't have a full path, so I had all these people with issues, and so this recording is obviously correct now. We're going to add it, and we should be about done. Come on. Come on, it's not that hard. Should. Seems to be taking a little bit longer this time. But that's okay. We're only watching it like a pot boiling water, you know, that thing. There we go. Okay. Close, and you close that. Now if I go to the volatile tab, I actually have stuff. Imagine that. Isn't that neat? Okay, so let's talk about what's in here. Again, we're going to be using the volatile. If you go to the Explore and Overview, you ain't really going to see much of anything. Okay? You see they're all blank. So really, you just need to go to volatile. Now, under the processor list, have you ever gone to Task Manager? This is Task Manager. These are everything that's running on the machine.
It's like process monitor.
Exactly what it is. Now, you can click the plus over here. Now, this tells you the time we recorded it. Then under this, it's the same thing either way. But if you had multiple, there would be multiples under the list. But this just tells you all the different processes. It tells you their path. It tells you when they were started. It tells you the working directory. It just tells you all kinds of stuff. Okay? So I could very easily go in here and click on this services host file. And it's going to tell me which DLLs are linked to that process. So you can, find out stuff like that. I could actually go to the system file. There's no DLLs. Okay. But you can look at it. Even tells you where the DLLs are located. All that kind of stuff. All right. So it's pretty easy to do. You can do the same under DLLs now. If I click on DLLs, now it's going to be listing all the DLLs. Okay. Now, actually, I'm going to go back to this one for a second. You'll notice the columns change. Some of them will have, you see how this one we have TCP and all that other stuff. Okay. When we go to DLLs, I don't have as many columns. So different columns give you different information. Hey, read screen. Okay. So, but click on the different DLLs, and you have to answer questions about them, which we'll look at here in a minute. Now here's something that's kind of cool, sockets. Okay, first of all, do you all know what an IP address is? Hopefully you know at this point what an IP address is. Do you all know what a port is?
Yeah. Where you put ships.
Yeah. Well, when you combine an IP address with a port, that's called a socket. Okay? So when I make a connection from inside to outside, I'm basically making a socket. So here, right here, I'm seeing there's currently a connection on port 3999, okay, on the local port, connecting from 10.10.93.53, I know it's hard to see the numbers in the back, but it's fine, over to 10.10.40.48, and the remote port is 1514.
License server?
Actually, I think this is the FTP. This is actually the FTK agent that's doing this work, because it actually installs and makes a connection between the two. So you can look through here, you can see what type of connection, here's a UDP connection, that kind of stuff. It tells you which files making the connection. I mean, you can go in here, we got another UDP, we got another TCP down here. So it's pretty easy to see what's happening. You got to look around in this area to see what's going on. Okay? You don't need any of the hashes on here, so don't worry about that. Drivers. You can expand drivers, and they'll tell you which drivers are being used. Okay, here's my VGA driver. Here's whatever the heck that driver is, and so on and so forth. A paper port driver, and all kinds of other stuff. So you can see what drivers are being used. Okay, tell you where they're at, all that kind of stuff, and you can scroll this over and find out other information about it as well. Okay, you can see the open file handlers, which come on. Okay. You can actually see which files are being opened at this point. You can look through these. Some of them will have information, some of them won't. What a file handler is, anytime a file open is considered a handle. You actually have a connection into a file. So they could be DLLs, they could be networks, all kinds of stuff. So files, handlers is pretty much the connections or the files that are being used. I don't think you can see, no, you can't see much about those. Okay, yeah, you can see some of it, okay. And it'll even tell you what the file name is, so NTOS kernel, paper port, all that kind of stuff, okay. You go into processors. We have two processors. What is each processor doing? This first, or processor 0 is running this stuff. Processor 1 is running the same stuff. Great, okay. System descriptor table, you can see more information about the NTOS kernel. And most of this stuff is not important, but what it would be important for Maybe you had a virus or something and you wanted to actually analyze the connection into a DLL, something like that. You could do more with this. Now, one thing you cannot do, actually let me go up, well I'm going to talk about devices first, I'm going to go to that. Okay, under devices, you can actually see the devices that are installed. We have a parallel port installed, we have a TCP daemon installed, we have a floppy drive installed. And it's just which devices are there. They're pretty basic stuff. Well, what if I went over here to the process? Said, you know, this Explorer file, I'm not sure. You know what? Actually, there's a small one at the bottom. Let's go down here to the services host. Okay. Can't do this. I wish we could. But if you right-click on this, there's an option to dump the file. You should actually be able to dump the actual file from memory to your hard drive. But you actually have to have the agent still connected to the target machine to do this. Since we don't have that, you can't do that. So you will not be able to export any of these files or dump to a file. I tried. I'm thinking if we had the swap file, we would have been able to do it. But if we tried to do this, say I said dump to a file, then I'm going to browse and I'm going to go, I think I got a drive here somewhere. New folder. I'm going to say, okay, say, you sure you want to do this? Yes. And it's not going to work. Okay? Couldn't connect to the, in other words, it doesn't have the connection to the machine anymore. Okay? So, can't really do that, but you don't need it for this anyway. But in the real world, you could. Okay? Now, I basically showed you how it worked. That's all there is to this tool. It's really pretty simple. You just got to look around and answer questions about it. Now, that being said, let me bring up this assignment now. Let's walk through this so you know exactly what we're doing. Okay? All right. It says, get an understanding of how to use this to analyze memory. Okay. Machine's been on your network. It has all kinds of traffic, an excessive amount of traffic. So we went into the machine, we captured its memory, we want to know what's going on. Okay? Want to know is it normal or not, what's going on with it. No services out of the normal exist on the network. In other words, there's nothing special that should be causing it that we know of. Okay. Do your own lab as normal. Use FTK5, examine the memory and determine which processes are running, which could be malicious, what's taking place. In order to answer the questions in the quizzes section, questions are also at the end, like I normally put them. They're not random this time, so they're down there. Just fine. Everybody okay on the whole random username thing? Other than with the exception of Lee, Walter, Walters, whatever, and Pat Daly. So,
I haven't been able to find Paul.
Paul was in. Pat and Lee were the only ones that were an issue. Should be. Should be. Say should. Okay. So let's talk about what this actually says.
So if we found Pat Daly, can we get extra?
If you got, no, you're just not getting it wrong if you don't get it. If you had Pat Daly and you, I mean, I told you how it's spelled. I sent you an email, what, Sunday? Something like that.
So we could find that as one of the extra credit ones.
No, because it's on.
If it's on yours, but if it's not on yours, and if it's not on yours, then yes, it can be extra credit.
Yes.
But if it is on yours, it's not extra credit.
Can we still turn in the extra credit by next Tuesday?
Oh yeah,
Additional
oh yeah.
five?
Yeah,
And
for,
is it just an additional 5 usernames?
yes, that's all.
Okay.
If you turn in 10, the additional 5 over the 5, take away points.
This is why I asked.
So really, if you turn in like all 40 of them, you can literally get like a 70.
Can't.
I'm assuming that's what Cameron did too.
He was telling me we
You
need
know
all
what assuming
40.
does. You know what assuming does.
All right, so I tell you exactly what to do. I tell you on manage evidence, click cancel. Then on evidence, click import memory dump. You can call I called my agent lab. Well, you can call whatever you feel like. It doesn't matter for this. All right, then go to volatile. Okay, I tell you where the stuff is located. It's on the file server 1 student Dropbox. Now your login, you actually have to include the domain. It's rose, R-O-S-E, / whatever your vSphere account is. Cameron-Tillman-RSC or whatever you logged into vSphere with. Okay? Everybody okay with that? If you can't get it, there's a link to it on Dropbox.
Did Roy make those?
Did Roy make what?
Those folders, those network shares.
We were there years ago.
Because he can't spell, so if you're looking for my name.
Yeah, but student Dropbox we just put stuff in the field to get to. Okay, but there's also a link there. You can get it off Dropbox if you want. The link's also under the assignment, under the content page. Okay, it's called Lab 8, memory dump, whatever. So that's what the file is. Here's how the actual capture works. We're not going to do this because I've already did this for you. Again, it caused an issue when we tried to have students do it. Because you can just imagine. I mean, you saw when I got done importing the memory file, we went right in and started looking at it. Well, then I would have still had an active connection, and then, you would have been waiting, especially in the last day. So it's easier this way. Okay, start a new case, cancel that evidence. But on this one, you'd go add remote data. So what we'd do up here is we would go tool evidence, add remote data. And we would put in the IP address where we're connecting to. And then you would say install temporary agent, easy enough, just like it says here. Put in the IP address. Now that machine's currently turned off, so don't try. Then you just put in a domain account, really doesn't matter what it is, because we already have an admin account connected to it. Then we acquire RAM, put in the memory dump somewhere, and then say get the page file. You don't need it, but you could. That's what we should have done, which I might do, but we'll see how that works. But then here's the part that gave everybody an issue. The immediately after acquiring, go to Tools, click Unmount Agent Drive. Well, people would skip that part. And, and by the way, that brings up a very valid point. Since we had an issue with vCenter the last couple of days, I was actually looking. A lot of you just leave your machines running forever.
Sorry.
Turn everything off. It's, it's wasting electricity.
I pause mine.
Well, that's fine.
Well, I usually, if I'm running something, I'll leave it on. But
That's fine. If you're running something, that's fine. But there was some people that had it running since February. It's like, What? What?
Only February?
Yeah, I think February. I didn't see any
Hey, man,
earlier.
that's
I
good.
think I stopped the other one.
It's
Okay.
like 99.9%.
Okay. But if we had done it, you go to Tools, Unmount Drive. Be sure that all the agents are selected, disconnect. Then it would take 2 full minutes for it to disconnect.
So we'd have to have slips and say, okay, you go first, you go second.
But it's
you're
just
next.
so.
Sorry,
All right.
guys.
All right. Here's the change. You'll be creating a new case in FTK, just like I showed you. Enter your case, name it, your last name, like Tillman-Lab 8. When you're finished with the lab, when you've submitted your assignment, delete your case. Okay, from the data. If you don't delete it, you lose 10%.
Dang.
I'm just tired of having to delete them all. See, this new version's not as bad. The prior version, I could only delete 3, then I had to reboot the database server. It sucked. It took forever. This one doesn't. This one I still have to do one at a time, but at least I don't have to reboot the database server every 10 minutes. So just delete yours when you're done.
I thought that's why you have a system.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the quiz questions. There's some processes on there. Which ones do you think are bad? Okay. When was the image created? That kind of stuff. Okay. Enter the properly formatted IPv4 local address for, stuff like that. Write it correctly. If it's not right, you're not getting any credit for it. Okay. So many people write IP addresses incorrectly.
F4:0.
All right, what type of attack was happening? You should be able to figure that out. And by the way, these are randomly ordered, so don't think one matters. Okay, what remote port on the target of the main attack? What? Oh, there you go. Question. Okay. What directory contains the 3 main suspect images? And enter the name of one of the 2 processes that are using the least number of DLLs, but above 0. Because there's some that are using 0 DLLs.
That's the least. But 0 is the least.
That's why it says, but above 0.
But
It's actually much easier than this project's been in the past. But, at least you'll have to look around for a few things. That's what I wanted you to be
This
able
was
to
going
do.
to be kind of like a network scanning was. Just search.
Yeah, you're going to have to look around the memory and find stuff. In the past, I would ask, what'd you see? But the problem with that is,
files.
Different different eyes.
Yeah, different eyes. And I was always looking for certain things, and then, so I'm trying to make it easier so you kind of know exactly what I'm looking for. So,
Or you could just give us
no.
Yeah, I think.
Can't do that. Can't do that. So, it's actually a pretty simple lab. You know, everyone always wants to know how long is it going to take. Well, it depends.
How good your control F skills?
Yeah, it's not hard to find in there. It's not hard, and the questions aren't very tough. But I would say an hour or two, you should have no problem. Should.
So when you say that, add 2 hours.
No.
I had about 3
I think
years.
it's add
right?
3.
I mean, it's not like you're breaking 20 or however many passwords. I gave you the data, you just got to go, I mean, add the stuff. You saw how to add it. It's not very hard. And when you're done, remember, when you're done, you got to do this. You got to go over here, select it, and do delete, and then say yes, and then yes. Okay, and it deletes much faster since it's on your machine. If I delete, you can see in a minute it's going to come up, couldn't find file. So, any questions on what you need to do?
What are the answers?
Good question.
6.
Will there be problems with
What's
vSphere?
half the answer?
Will the process what, who?
Will there be problems with vSphere?
I don't know.
It depends on if people want to crack passwords this week.
Well, what we had was we were getting a memory chunk error. So it looks like there's a memory problem on the iOS. According to Cisco, all we got to do is upgrade the iOS, which I just got the files about an hour ago. So we should be able to upgrade the iOS pretty easily. If we do, that should fix it, or we'll see. But, you know, we're probably going to do that tomorrow. And when we do it, it's going to go down for a short period of time, because obviously we're going to be upgrading the router's iOS. But that's what Cisco says to fix it. So it just seems weird that it just started right when I signed this project. Yeah, I've gone through each one of your machines so many times trying to say, who the heck is hitting the wrong router? And nobody was, which is, I mean, people were hitting the wrong machines, but not the wrong router. And plus, that's a big old router. It should handle lots of stuff. So, all right.
That's because you gave us 20.
Yeah. If we would have done like 1 or 2.
Come on, Sam solved it in like 35 minutes.
That's true. As I said before.
Okay, oh, here's one thing that is critical.
Yes,
You really need to know what a valid username is. Some of you are still using a space for a username. That ain't gonna work. That's bad. Pound sign doesn't work. Tilde doesn't work. Smiley face doesn't work. I mean,
So far,
it's not hard. You know what the protocol is. Go find out what a valid username is. So it's,
I couldn't find a couple, so I was like, yeah, maybe.
they're just basics is all I did. I didn't do anything crazy. They're like dots, dashes, that kind of stuff.
Oh, now you tell us.
Underscores. So.
A week later.
That's all right. No one's gonna listen to this anyway. Most people listen to part of it. Now, sometimes people listen to the entire thing and actually get hints. But
I actually did listen.
yeah, so. Yeah, it's so. All right. Everybody okay? So everybody know what it is? And then after you delete your account, if you want, you're going to need your username again. So just leave it in there for a little bit. Then just close that out. And then the critical part: shut your darn machine off.
Okay. Point should we leave it on?
Well, if you're using it, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But what I do is I look at it and see when it was last used. February 19th is not a good answer.
Suspending it is okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Spending is totally fine. I mean, if you're using it, I have no problems with that. I just, you know, I'm one of those when I go on vacation, I turn off everything in the house. Okay, hold on a second. Let me save this.